All right, welcome back from that very short break, and I'm still with my guests in the studio. Ashburn Older, the chair of the Caribbean Libertarian, and I've got Norman Wright here, a lawyer and a conservative member. Ashburn is Lib Dem. And we're talking about Commonwealth in whose interest, and we're looking at the Windrush scandal in the United Kingdom. How far government has done, we're just following up on that situation, if anything has changed. I see I have Ashburn in the house, and I have Norma. Norma, let me start with you.
Sorry, can I just correct you on one thing?
Yeah.
You did say Conservative member. My views are Conservative. I was a parliamentary candidate and a sort of chairman of my local district party, but I'm no longer a paid-up member of the Conservative Party. I am disgusted at what's happening. So I'm Conservative with a very small c. I thought I just had to correct that.
Okay, all right, awesome. However, before we went on that break, I was making reference to the just concluded local council election, and how people had thought that voters will use that election to trash the government because of the scandal that broke out, plus including the Brexit, the inability of the government to agree on Brexit policy. But eventually, it turned out that the party came out stronger than expected. What my question is, do you not think that people have actually forgiven the government and they are ready to move on?
No.
Since neither the Labour nor the Lib Dem gained anything from the just concluded council election?
Okay, not at all. First of all, I don't believe that the Liberal Democrats have the wherewithal at the moment to form a government, and neither do I believe that the Labour Party has either, under Jeremy Corbyn. And I think people voted because they want more, not necessarily more of the same, but it's better to sort of, for want of a better term, lie in bed with the devil you know than the devil you don't know. Because people are disillusioned with politics at the moment. They do not believe what is being said by the politicians. They do not believe what is being said by the government. And furthermore, they do not believe that whatever they say can be carried out. The government at the moment is changing its mind like the tide. So on that basis, I think the voter turnout in the latest council election was very poor, it was very low, and even almost sort of negligible for the diaspora, because people are disillusioned.
Talking about the diaspora, what future do they have in this country? Diaspora, Commonwealth citizens in this country who are either on indefinite passports or on British passports. What does the future hold? Looking at it from the Windrush issue and the government immigration policy.
When you say what does the future hold, what do you mean?
I mean in terms of...
Because if you work...
Yep.
And you work, you contribute to the economy.
This is what I'm trying to say now. One would have thought it would be impossible some 3-4 years ago that what happened regarding the Windrush generation would never have happened. One would have thought that no, it can never happen. But it did happen.
It has
so
happened.
we have people who've been in this country 60 years, suddenly declared illegal. So that's why I'm saying that if there are people of African descent in the UK, African diaspora, or Caribbean diaspora in the UK, or Commonwealth citizens who hold citizenship, say for instance, in this country, but were not born in the United Kingdom. In the next 10, 20 years down the line, could there be anything that could put their citizenship in question?
Of course there is. That's why there is such a big furore at the moment about Windrush, because the future of the Windrush generation and the successors is poor. There's a poor outlook, because at the moment we're classed or seen to be classed as illegal immigrants. So therefore, what future is there? So now we have to stamp on the situation and ensure that whatever is wrong is put right. And that's what we are attempting to do.
Absolutely. And, furthermore, to expand on that, if we go back to the history of the Windrush, these were sort of immigrants that came illegally. They were migrants at the time.
They were invited to build the United Kingdom.
They were invited to come to the United Kingdom. And by doing that, Theresa May herself and her team, the Home Secretary at the time, of lately destroyed 50,000 of the landing cards. The data was destroyed. So if you destroy the data and now make these people illegal...
But she claimed that that information or the data, probably the destruction started during the Labour government. And Labour said no.
Well,
it was you.
Some landing cards were mysteriously found. So, you know, were they destroyed? Were they not destroyed? Were they hidden? What is the truth? We
don't know. So let's assume she was the Home Secretary at the time, so she's responsible. We can't pass the buck and say, well, that sort of happened 2-3 years prior to I was there. You are now the Home Secretary. And for you to destroy the data, which is most important, and now calling these people illegal immigrants is not acceptable. And not only affect the Windrush generation, except the children and grandchildren. And they're going for a trauma. So therefore, we need to continue to say to Theresa, we need to address this now. We need these people to come back.
The government will say to you...
Can I just finish my point? I'm not only concerned about sort of the Windrush as well. I'm concerned about my fellow Caribbeans or Africans community that's got sort of dual passports. This could be another target for Theresa May. Because as far as she's concerned, you cannot serve two masters. You've got dual passports. So she may be targeting the African communities, countries that's got dual passports. This is my concern.
But the government will say to you...
Windrush got an issue, and the next step, I'm afraid, it might be...
The government will say to you, we've done our best, and we're still doing our best. First, we'll change the Home Secretary, either forced to resign or changed, whatever it is. Now you have one of yours as the Home Secretary. Policies have been put in place to compensate victims of the Windrush scandal. They will say, we're dealing with the Windrush issues, papers have been issued out, people have been taken care of, passport being issued out. What more would you want us to do? Government will say to you, we're doing our best.
It's much too slow.
But at the moment, the best is not good enough.
What would you still, what do you think the government should do or can still do in this situation?
They've set up a group, a working party, to have a look at the applications. The applications are not being processed fast enough. There are still people in detention centres. There are still people that have been deported, that are living sort of without their family members, etc.
But the government has said if anybody has been deported or is a victim, there's a particular hotline they can call.
Okay.
So why have they not called? Why have they not reached out?
So a hotline to call?
Yeah, to say, look, I'm somewhere here. Or
okay, I'm somewhere here. You know, come and get me, please.
Hotline in from where? The Caribbean? Hotline from the Caribbean to ring this country to say
it's not good enough.
Absolutely. And by getting for a hotline, can these people afford to make a phone call from the Caribbean to Britain?
Do they know a hotline exists? You know how expensive
some of these people,
but they should have some kind of family members.
Some of these people they send back are destitute. They've got nobody in the Caribbean. They're sent back to a world they haven't got a clue. Now, don't forget, these people hasn't travelled for years. So these people are going to visit relatives they heard of, and to find out, you know, they're on their way back, and they say, no, you can't enter the country. So they're now destitute. They're penniless.
Now, let's look at the role the different high commissions have actually played or are playing. It is not possible for British government to deport any citizen without approval from the receiving home country, and the receiving home country will probably be the High Commissioner, the High Commissioner, or the ambassador resident in the United Kingdom. How would we appraise these ambassadors who actually agreed that somebody who's been in the UK for 40 years, let's even put it for 30 years, is a citizen of his own country? Say, for instance, I've been in the UK for 30 years. I've never been to Nigeria. Let's just assume. Should the Nigerian High Commission in the United Kingdom accept me being deported?
I cannot.
To Nigeria.
I'm
just thinking aloud.
I can't understand the logic in this, because I said the same thing.
Okay, go on.
I said the same thing. I said the same thing. Government to government, they're aware these things was happening. And they knew that these people were sent from the Windrush generation. And they're aware these people did come. And in fact, the Caribbean was under the British. So we were controlled by them. They had British citizens. They came with British passports. So yes, you're aware of that. But yet, as you rightly said, they accept these people, government to government, when they do the transaction. But yet, the government still accept them. I'm at a loss. I can't understand why the government in the Caribbean islands, or the prime ministers, accept these people being deported.
The High Commissioner probably should.
Absolutely, they should have intervened.
They should have raised the red flag.
Absolutely,
They should have raised the red flag.
Do you think, you're a lawyer, and as part of immigration strategy, do you think the Home Office actually has a kind of carrot and cane it uses?
Okay.
Yeah. It dangles some kind of carrot before the High Commission.
That's a possibility.
And dangles stick.
That is a possibility.
It came before the High Commission. Look, you take these guys back. You get this. You don't take these guys back.
It's possible.
There's so much. Tunde, there is so much that goes on behind closed doors that we will never know. But one thing that I do know is that the High Commissioners or the receiving countries have not made enough noise about accepting these deportees, and I think it's disastrous, and I think it's really sad that even the Jamaican Prime Minister, I don't know if he's raised a question. I haven't heard. When he was over here for the Commonwealth Conference, there was an attempt to ask a question of him in that regard, and the attempt was not acknowledged. So yeah, I'm disappointed. I'm fervent enough to be able to want to do something about it. And what we are trying to form is a focus group, not just for disadvantaged Windrush diasporas. Well, I wouldn't say victims, people that have been affected by it. I think victim is too strong a word.
All right. When we come back, I'm going to ask you, I'm going to start with, is it not high time diasporans in the UK started holding the High Commissions responsible for their responsibilities?
Yes, absolutely.
The first responsibility they have is to protect their citizens in the UK. Okay, let's go on a short break now. When we come back, we'll take on that.